Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be planning and setting up my journals and planners for February 2026. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, I am planning for February today, and I'm actually filming this a little early because I'm going to be traveling at the very end of January and into February. So I wanted to get this all set and ready to go before I left on vacation so that you guys could see this on February 1st as usual. So today I am kind of finding my way in my process, or so far I'm kind of finding my way in my 2026 process. I've got my 4 main journals and planners that I use every day here that I'm going to set up. I kind of have a 5th one, which is this is my random notes journal. I don't really do any setup for this. Just on the 1st of the month, I will add my sticker to start the month. So here's my January sticker for January. I will just add my February on February 1st or probably right before I leave on vacation. I'm actually not even sure if I'm going to bring this one with me. I will share a separate video though about travel journaling at some point and just kind of like what I bring with me. Anyways, today I'm going to be setting up these 4 journals and planners. I've got my Take a Note and my Everyday Carry, which are my 2 functional planners, and those kind of get set up together. My Everyday Carry, this is the weekly diary from Soft Paper Studios, and it's kind of like a Hobonichi week. So if you use a Hobonichi weeks, how I use this pretty much is the same setup for that, but I generally just have my functional future planning in the months, and then the weeks, I just use them as I go. I don't set anything up in the weeks in this video or in my planning for the future month. I just kind of set up my monthlies. I'm actually thinking though of setting up, so my months are already set up in here, but I just need to add a little bit of decoration. I'm thinking of doing like the next 6 months right now, just because this is kind of future planning and I do plan months in advance. You can see looking all the way to June, I have vacations. I even have one booked later than that that's just not in here, and I need to get that in here. So I might just start setting up some of those future months today. In my Take a Note last month, in my January plan with me, I didn't set up my January, or I set up my January, but I typically set these up a month in advance. So I had already set up my February in that video. So today I'm going to finalize my February. So put like all of my trackers and everything on the side. And then I'm going to set up March so that I have March ready to go to start looking ahead. Then I have my journal, and this is my daily journal. I only do a few things in here to set it up for the month. One is I set up the monthly calendar. So this is an undated daily planner from Sterling Ink. So I need to put the dates in here, put the days of the week, put the month, and get that ready to go. And then for my daily pages, I have this spread that I'm using for my goals for the month. And then I have the spread at the end of the month for a 2-page vision board, which I'm super excited to work on that. Then finally, I have my craft planner. And in my craft planner, I do my product and project tracking. So here's how January is going so far. I'm going to set up February, and then I also need to set up my monthly calendar. So these calendars I use, trying to find the page. This again is Undated. So these calendars I use to schedule my content, and I need to get this one set up because I'm going to be on vacation. I need to start scheduling content for February. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these done today. I will talk you through some of the process. I will put some of it with music and voiceover, and I will leave timestamps in the description box below if you just want to watch portions of my setup. I think I'm going to start with my functional planning, and then I'm going to move into the other 2. Okay, so as you can see, I already had a lot of February set up, and that's because this planner is how I do my future planning. So what I do is I set up the month ahead of time. So now when I'm doing my February plan with me, I'm going to set up my March calendar. And when I did my January plan with me, I set up my February calendar. But I do still need to finalize my February plans because now I'm getting ready to go into February. So you saw me create my sidebar where I added all of my routine cleaning that I want to accomplish, some of my other tasks that I want to accomplish in February. And right now in the right-hand column, I'm adding in what products I want to use for Project Life. And I pulled over my craft planner that talks about, it has my Project Life tracker, and that's where I kept track of which products I want to use. I like to keep track of that here in my everyday carry or in my take a note planner because this is the planner I have out on my desk at all times. And I almost always have it open either to the monthly spread or the current weekly spread. And this way I'm able to have a quick glance to see what kit I'm working with. And that helps me kind of coordinate what stories and photos I want to capture for Project Life. I don't necessarily have kits picked out in advance for everything. You can see here some of these. I'm just writing the dates that I'm going to do because my spreads don't necessarily match a specific week, but I don't necessarily have a kit for all of them. And I'll just go back in and fill that in later once I have that information. You can see here I do have a little bit for March, so I'm just doing that part in advance and setting that up here. But I will set up March. Right now, March looks so blank because this planner is so minimal and I need to add my stickers. For my stickers, I primarily use kits from the Coffee Monster Co. I get the Kobonichi Cousin sticker kits for planning in here. I know that she has various other sizes and she might have another one that she recommends for this planner. I have liked the way that the Hobonichi Cousin one works. The only thing I really need to do is trim down these days of the week headers, and I just trim them down to 1 inch. And I like that there's a kind of a little gap between them when I lay them out rather than having them touch or overlap, which would create extra bulk. Next, I'm going to stamp out my title. So I want to stamp the name of the month at the top. There is that 3 and a small March, which is printed on there, but I like having a larger title for when I flip to the spread. I'm going to use this stamp set that is also from the Coffee Monster Co. and my Versa Magic ink. This is a black ink that I think works really well on Tomoe River paper, and I will link it in the description box below. It's definitely my favorite to use. I'm going to go ahead and add some color to the spread with some mild liners, but I need to figure out which ones coordinate with this kit. So what I did was I pulled out my regular messy notebook, and I use this a lot for testing pens and swatching. It is the same Tomoe River paper, so I'm going to get the same effect as close as I can. Every notebook is a little bit different, but that way I'm able to pick out some colors, and I pick out a few pastels that I think go with the kit colors for March, and I'm going to use those to decorate this spread. You can see there how I flip back through January and February, and I'm just going to use this to color in those letters in the word March. I'm also going to select a color to highlight in my actual calendar when I start putting together my calendar spread. So one of the things that I do now in this is set up my actual functional calendar. Because like I said, this is what I use for functional planning and for pre-planning. So I know kind of all my appointments, all of my tasks, everything I have scheduled, and it really helps me manage my time and just stay organized so I'm not double booking myself or forgetting about an appointment or something that I have. I'm adding in the holidays. I realized after I set up my January that I forgot to purchase the USA holidays, so I am going to have to come back and add those in later when they arrive. I purchased them in with the second half of the year stickers, and there were no USA holidays that month, but that's why I'm missing the one in February for President's Day. I also like to add on these spreads a few more details. I get the washi strip add-on, and I like to add the washi strip across the bottom just to decorate the spread a little bit. The calendar for March goes all the way to the bottom, of the page. So I'm just going to start at the edge of those boxes and add this across there. It just adds a little bit more decor and color, and I feel like makes the spread look a little bit better. I personally don't love when the spreads look like they're completely sticker bombed, but I feel like as I've been in this planner and working with it a bit more, I have enjoyed having a little bit more decor than I did in the beginning of 2025. So you definitely will see that in these spreads. I add 3 dots across the top there, and that's where I'm going to write in my focus for the month of the 3 primary goals that I want to accomplish during the month. I am not going to write that in at this point because right now I'm focused on February. But I am pre-planning March. Now I'm going to flip to my everyday carry, and this is what I'm going to use to update my actual calendar. So my everyday carry, you can see, has my calendar already filled in, and that's the one I fill in immediately when I book something. So if I schedule an appointment in the future, I'm always going to put it in my everyday carry. You can see I'm adding a few stickers to that now. I do end up actually setting up most of this in advance, and I don't think I'm going to do it on this video. But I want to have this planner fully set up for the year with stickers and everything so that I can go ahead and book things, because I personally have stuff booked all the way through November at this point. So I definitely want this calendar to be set up to show all of those scheduled events. I'm adding the other washi strip across the bottom. And you see here, I'm going to go ahead and set up the April and such as well with these stickers. I think I just do through June because that's all I had at the time that I was filming this. My second half of the year stickers I had not yet arrived because they were sold in 2 separate batches. So I am going to go back to my calendar at some point and set up my actual calendar on my Take a Note. And so I'll add more details about that. But what I'm doing, you can see I'm adding stickers. So I used to not really put stickers on my calendar. I would just write in appointments and things. And I love the stickers. They're so cute. So whenever I can put a sticker to mark something, I think that is a little bit more fun. So what I'm doing here is going through and adding my paydays. And there's like this cute little dollar bill. The only thing that annoys me is the weeks kit. So I'm using the weeks kits for my everyday carry. Only come with 2 little dollar bills per month. And some months I have 3 paydays. The ones for the Hobonichi cousin come with 3. And I don't have 3 every month. Most months it's only 2. So I do have some extras, but they are slightly bigger than ones from the week. So I end up having like these large ones in here every so often, which is kind of annoying. Here I'm going through and adding in some holidays that I missed to put in. So one thing that bothered me this year, and I don't mean this in like a negative way because everything Helen from the Coffee Monster Co. does is so adorable. And this year she came out with new kits that were in this new like watercolor style. And it's so cute, but she didn't do that for the holidays. She did them in the regular style. So it was a little bit mismatchy to me. I wish that they had matched that new watercolor style. But I think once I start filling in the month, I won't notice as much because I will add some stickers from other kits anyways that are not in the watercolor style. Next, what I'm going to do is put in my functional schedule over here. So the very bottom row of every box I reserve for my work schedule. I have a full-time job, Monday through Friday. I am a tax attorney. And what I do in the bottom box here is just identify where I'm working. So if I don't have work, I'm going to fill it in gray with the gray mild liner. And I use that same color every month all year. I might switch it up if there's a kit that the gray doesn't look good with, but it's such a neutral that it really works with most kits. I also write in my telecommuting. You can see that with a little TC. And if there was something else, I would write it in that bottom row. The second row from the top is where I put my travel. So I am traveling for work in the middle of March to Brooklyn. So I made that pink line. I just selected a color that coordinated with the kit to add that pink in there to show that I'm going to be in Brooklyn those days. I add in some of my appointments and meetings, and then I'm going to use a little sticker to add a geotag for my travel. I got a lot of the sticker add-ons this year from the Coffee Monster Co. So I'd be able to add more stickers for a variety of appointments. You can see I'm looking at my January and I really love how I have it set up. And I'm just going to add a few more into February for things that I know are going to be scheduled. To set up the calendar spreads in here, I use the same stamp set that I used in my Take a Note from the Coffee Monster Co. to stamp out the name of the month. And then I'm using the watercolor dates set from the Coffee Monster Co. to add my dates on here. I'm adding the days of the week across the top, and then I'm just adding the little dots for each day. These are also coordinated with the same kit colors from the set that I'm using in my Take a Note and my Everyday Carry, so I easily can coordinate colors if I wanted to across the spreads, although I really don't add much color in here. So this calendar I use to document what I have scheduled content-wise for my Instagram and YouTube channel. So I understand that this spread might not be applicable to everyone, but I need one for my purposes. And what I do is I just use the little icon stickers for there's like a camera one and a video one. And I use those to document when I've done a YouTube or an Instagram. And then I just write in what I have scheduled. So I know in advance what's already been scheduled for my channel and what I still need to schedule. Next, I'm going to set up my monthly pages. I am using one of my Sailor Shikiori markers here. These are my absolute favorite markers to use in my journals and planners. If you are looking for a nice brush tip pen or marker, I highly recommend these for colors. They are a little bit of a higher price point, but I feel like they are so worth it. So I do really recommend them, and I will link those in the description box below if you're interested. For this spread, what I do is my projects on the left-hand side and my products on the right-hand side. However, here I wrote February projects twice. And funny thing, I did not notice that the entire time I was working on this. I didn't notice it when I was photographing the page for Instagram or anything. The only time I finally noticed it was when I was going to schedule my post on Instagram. Then I was like, wait a second, that says projects twice. So the right-hand side is actually my product tracking, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. I know what it means, and I'm just going to leave it. I also decided to use this kind of like green mild liner because I thought the colors looked nice together, and you could see that I was testing out the colors on my extra notebook to make sure I like them together before pairing them, because it is a little bit of a weird set, but I do like it. And then what I'm going to do is create my same list and trackers that I always do in here. So in case you're new here or you want a refresher, How I do this is on the left-hand side, I write out all of my projects and what I want to work on during the month. So for me, I don't have that much to do in February because I am going to be traveling. So my priorities are going to be working on Project Life and getting through my trip documented in Project Life. I need to do my creative team assignments, of course. And then I have a few other projects that I'm going to list out that I want to do, but I'm going to leave most of it blank just because I don't intend to get that much done in February. I'm not going to aim to because I just don't think it is that realistic. I'm traveling through the 14th, so that's like most of the month. And then when I get back, I know I'm going to have jet lag and I'm going to have a lot of other things to catch up on. So crafting is going to not be a priority this month, unfortunately. On the right-hand side, I track my products. So this is something I've been doing for quite a few years now. And essentially what I do is I track the products that come into my craft room and the products that go out to try to minimize adding too much to my stash. When I'm tracking on here, it gives me an idea of what products I'm using and what I'm buying or acquiring too much of so that I can think twice before purchasing something or work on donating or using more products. It's also really motivating to craft because I love being able to check off that I used some products, and it helps me not hoard products because getting to use them and then check them off is just such a great feeling. In my product tracking, I track a number of different products. When I first started, I only did Project Life cards, but I have expanded it from there. So I track my Project Life cards. I track a variety of embellishments, including die cuts, washi tape, and sticker sheets. I track paper. And then I track total kits that are in and out. I also track stamp sets, which of course those don't get used up, but I track which new ones come in and whether or not I've gotten them into my catalog system. So if you're not familiar, I do have a stamp catalog system, which is pretty time consuming to add new stamps to, but it's very helpful for when I'm crafting to remind me to use my stamps and to remember what I have. So I want to get all of my new stamp sets into that. So my tracking around stamps really focuses on getting more put into my catalog than I bring in, so I don't have a large stack of uncatalogued stamps, which unfortunately I do have a large stack of uncatalogued stamps right now because I haven't been working on my stamp organization because I was working on December daily and now I'm working on getting content ready so that I can go on vacation. But I'm hoping when I return, I can focus on my stamp organization a little bit more. The final thing that I track on my products are my craft plans. And I actually got a question about this recently on my YouTube channel. So I think this is a good place to really answer that. But if you are familiar with me and my accounts and what I do over at Allie Edwards, I do a lot of craft planning where I sketch out layouts that I want to put together. And then I put the products in a Ziploc bag and put it away to put together at a later date. I have a lot of those bags stashed away. Yes, I do get a lot of those projects put together, but I also plan more projects than I can make. So I have a huge stack of planned projects that I need to put together. So what I track are newly planned projects and projects that I have previously planned that I put together. So new plans come in the in, and then if I put it together, it's in the out. And my goal is to put together more projects than I plan so that I can make a dent in my stash of planned projects. So that's a new one this year. Or I think in the middle of last year, but I'm excited to kind of reduce the planned projects that I have and really get a lot of that put together. Okay, so I saved my journal for last this month. And usually if you watch these Plan With Me videos, I do this one first, but I just felt like doing this one last this time because I just kind of wanted to get the other ones done. This one definitely takes the most time. So first thing I'm going to do with this is set my goals for the month of February. Now, typically I would be looking at my January goals, checking them off and seeing what I succeeded at and what I didn't before setting my February goals. However, because of the timing of my vacation, I have to work on my February goals before I have finished my before January is done. And that's totally fine. I am going to just go ahead and set up my goals, but I'm going to kind of just look at my annual goals and my January goals in keeping up with deciding what I'm going to do for my February goals. So the first thing I wanted to do here was just set up the page. So what I had done, I'm going to do the same format that I did in January, where I'm using some of the Coffee Monster Co. stickers and the stamps. So I have the same alpha stamp. This is the same one that I used in the rest of my setup. And this is also from the Coffee Monster Co. And when she does like stamps and stuff, they're limited release, but she might bring them back in the future. You just have to keep an eye on her site for those releases. I'm gonna just put my clip like this so that I can easily flip back and forth. Then I'm going to put the washi strip from the washi strips for the month at the top. So I have this piece left over from when I did my take a note setup for February. And I think it should fit here perfectly, and it does. There we go. So that's a good setup. So I actually have these are my March colors. I need to get my February colors out. So this back over. So this is what I did for February. So I think I used blue and yellow were the colors that I had pulled out as coordinating with this kit. So that's what I'm going to use. And then let's see, what else did I do? I put the goals stamping and the chapter 1. So now we're on chapter 2 of 2026. And I didn't actually use this new quarter anywhere because I used that new quarter. So I think I need to come up with a place of where I'm going to use these because I didn't use it in January. Yeah, I'll think about that because I don't want them to go to waste. I want to use the entire sheet by the end of the year. Okay, so I'm going to stamp out the goals title and then we'll talk through my goals. How I did the first month was I went back to my annual goals, which I have a separate video sharing my annual goals and how I set this up. But essentially I broke my goals into 5 categories: home, fun, creative, health, and self. And then every month I want to kind of have some goals for each of those. So for home, let's do home first. I also have these stickers from the Coffee Monster Co. that I've selected to kind of be the icon for that goal. In January, the goal was to do my master bathroom redo, which we're on track for that. We're probably not going to finalize the decor, so I think I probably will have to put that in February. And let's see, finish my craft room organization. I actually put that under creative, not home, so I'm not going to put that under home, even though that is probably one of my big goals for February. Instead, I'm going to put just 2 things here. So I'm keeping in mind that in February, I'm traveling for half the month. So that is taking a lot of my time and my energy. I'm looking for my pen. I always lose my pens. So part of setting my goals is just being realistic about what I can actually accomplish. So I'm going to finalize my bathroom. decor. And then the second thing is I want to get back on track with cleaning after vacation. So having 2.5 weeks out of the home is going to be a little bit hard because I'm not going to be doing any cleaning or anything. So I'm gonna have a lot to do when I get back. Okay, then fun. Let's get the little balloon. And I think the blue is going to make the most sense for this month. And let's say fun. Okay, so let's look at, here it was really just preparing for my vacation. And for this year, it's traveling in Southeast Asia. A lot of other small adventures, my other trips, prioritizing my hobbies, and giving myself time for fun. So I'm going to do 2 things here. Obviously, one of them is enjoy Southeast Asia, because that's a huge part. Then I also want to do a puzzle. I really enjoyed the puzzle I did in January, and I want to do another one right now, but I have a lot to do to prep for vacation. So in February, I want to kind of remember that when I get home, yes, I am going to have a lot to do to get back on track, but I don't have to do it all right away, right? And I need to just enjoy myself, which is part of my goals in 2026, is to, you know, not only be productive and get the things done that I want to do, but also just enjoy life. You know, isn't that the whole point? So I am going to outline all of these, but I just figured I'd do a couple of them as I'm talking. Okay, so next, creative. And I wanted to keep them lined up. It doesn't look like I can do it really. I'm going to do it. Okay. So I wanted to get in my groove with my projects and start January strong. So let's flip to my annual goals and see what my annual creative goals are. So I want to get my YouTube to 10,000. That is just kind of working on it on its own. I want to prep my content early, which that was part of like getting ready for a vacation. Keep up with my projects, reduce my stash, and finish my craft room. Okay, so I want to journal my vacation. I want to edit all of my vacation photos. And then I want to So a big thing that I need to do in my craft room is organize my craft closet. And I don't think it's realistic for me to finish that during the month of February with me being gone for half of the month. But I do really want to make some big steps in progress on it. And sometimes when setting goals, like monthly goals, it's a little bit difficult because you want to say, okay, I want to finish this thing, but maybe it's too big of a project for just 1 month. And that's okay. But just saying beginning the process is at least taking a step. Now, it'd be nice if I could break that down and say, okay, I want to get a certain thing accomplished, because that's a lot easier than doing like an intangible intention rather than a specific goal where I can check it off. But I'm thinking if I just make a significant enough step towards it, I'm going to feel like I accomplished that. So that's okay. Okay, health. Okay, we're gonna do yellow. And I'm realizing here that I have not spread these out nearly as much as I did in January, so I'm not gonna take the whole page, and that's okay. I'll figure out what to do. Okay, so let's look at health. Feel settled at work and do yoga 13 times. Okay. And yoga, headache treatment, work-life balance, try new recipes, better sleep, limited soda. Okay, So let's see. I want to, for my health, do yoga. However, I'm not going to be doing that while I'm on vacation. So I think doing it 7 times is going to be realistic. And then I want to do my best to not get sick. I tend to get sick every time I travel. Usually not till I get home. The last trip though, I was sick on the trip, and it's, you know, flying, being around a lot of people and stuff. So I'm going to try my best to not get sick on this trip. And obviously I don't have complete control over that, but there are things I can do. So I'm going to prioritize that. And let's see, I also feel settled at work. I think I want to get caught back up in work when I return. So okay, so I want to get back caught up at work, but I also want to feel zero guilt about taking time off, because that is important. Okay, so then finally, self. Oh, these books do have colors. I'm going to use this yellow one. Okay, so my goals for January were read 2 fiction books. I am on track for that. I finished the Book of Alchemy and journal every day. So I am not finishing the Book of Alchemy in January. It's just not happening. But I'm going to move it to February. So finish. I want to read 3 fiction books. I read more while traveling, so I think that will be doable. I want to journal every day still. And then let's look at my annual goals. Okay, so I think I want to just leave it at that. I have some other things that I have to take care of in February. I have, in addition to my vacation, I have a civil service exam, which is probably very weird to people who are not government employees, but essentially it's a promotional exam that I need to take. And so I'm going to have to study for that, prep for it, and it takes a full Saturday, which is annoying. So that's going to take up a lot of my time when I get back from vacation. Plus, just getting back from vacation, I am allowing myself space because I might end up sick, because that happens a lot. And even if I don't end up sick, I think I need some space when I get back just to kind of get myself back caught up and on track. So I think that that's going to be good. I don't have anything to put down here. I might, letter a quote or something. I will think about that. I might do something on this video, but for now, I think this page is good. And then what I need to do is work on my vision board, and I also need to work on making my calendar, which let me just flag that one. I'm just going to pull this tab. So these little tabs, these are Midori tabs. I use these all the time in my journals and planners, but I use them to kind of mark my current page, but I'm just going to put it here temporarily so that I can easily flip back and forth. And then this is at the March tab and this is at the February tab, because my vision boards this year are going at the very end of the month. So here's my January one, which goes right before the February tab. So I'm going to put you guys on voiceover as I work on this. Before I get started though, I'm going to kind of pull over a few things. I have this tray that I keep on my desk, which is become kind of a new thing for me this year. I have this tray that is in my drawer behind me. And this is where I keep like a lot of little stickers and things that I pull from, and magazine cutouts that I pull from for using in my album or in my journal. Here I have things that I printed out. So I actually have started putting some of those printouts here because this is kept on my desk. So here are some things that I like want to use in my daily journal pretty recently or like currently. And so what I'm going to do as part of these videos is also go through this. So I actually have all these like vellum pieces here. I'm gonna actually move these guys into here because I don't need those in here every month. So my plan as part of this video is to also kind of revamp this. So I have this Makeover Your Monday. I like that. I'm just gonna keep some of these things in here. This was like extras from Cocoa Daisy. So it's not just magazine clippings, but some of them. Okay, so I'm also gonna pull out things from here that I might want in my vision board. I don't think I need celebrations or holiday meals. I'm just moving some things out of here. Let me just move these to the side actually. Okay, so then I'm gonna go through this. And this is kind of where I put the extra pieces that are not in there. So I'm gonna just put some music on really quick while I go through this section, and then I'll talk you through a little bit more. Okay, so I sorted this out. These were all the things that I moved out of there or were in here and I'm still keeping in here. You can see I also have a few like sticker sheets that I keep in here. And then this is going to go back on my desk to pull from my journal. Pulled out a few things I might want to put in my vision board. And if not, I might put them just in my daily pages. I do need to set up some of my February pages for my vacation, but I'm gonna film that in a separate video. So I also pulled out this one image. I like to put some images in my vision board. Let me just show you here. My January vision board. I put some background images only. I didn't put anything else, but when you look at my annual vision board, and I have process videos for both of these vision boards, by the way, you can see I put some like smaller images in here as well. So there's a lot of different ways you could do this. So I am going to go ahead and look through, actually, I'm going to look through this stack first. So these are my background images. And normally I do my magazines first, but I decided to do this part first just because I want to use up some of these ones that I've been holding on to for a while. So I'm just going to kind of flip through these and see if there's anything I really want for February. Okay, so I pulled a few options. I have a travel one, a flowers, just like for February, it's pink, and then some like beach ones because that's kind of where we're going. So I'm thinking I might use a couple of these, but I'm going to flip through my magazines, cut out some pieces that I might want to include, and then put my vision board together. Okay, so before I start working on my vision board, I'm flipping through magazines and cutting things out. You can see I'm cutting things out that I might want to include in my vision board this month, but I'm also cutting out things that I might want to just add in my journal pages in general or in the future months because I don't like to flip through the same magazine more than a couple times. I tend to flip through them maybe like 2 times and then I will recycle them, so I don't have a stack of magazines forever. And I also don't want to spend so much time going through magazines to find everything every time I want to do a vision board because that would just take so long. I tend to like to do maybe 2 or 3 magazines before I feel kind of over the flipping through, cutting out piece. So that is what I'm going to do right now. This is an Architectural Digest, which is a newer magazine to me that I picked up this year. I picked up a few new subscriptions. If you are new to this practice and are considering picking up subscriptions or what magazines you might want to use, my favorites are Magnolia Journal and Real Simple. But I have quite a few others that I pick up. Generally, I will go for anything that is somewhat related to my interests and has a very good price because usually, no matter what the theme of the magazine is, you have words and fonts and icons that you can work for no matter what you're doing. This one I see has a lot of large architectural pictures and interior design pictures that I probably won't be able to use in this type of vision board, so it might not be the best one, but there are definitely some nice fonts and words in here. I'm also seeing, as you can see my stack of words, that there's a very muted color scheme from this book or from this magazine, which I really like. So that is something to keep in mind as well when choosing your magazines. I'm going through and also picking out a lot of letters and putting them in my letter organizer. I use that to write out words on a lot of different spreads, and I like just having a good selection of letters to pull from. Anytime I see a font that I really like, and especially if it has some of the less common letters, especially a J, which is very hard to find, I will cut it out and add it to my alphas. I also will sometimes cut out words that, words I like, but then there might be some words in that same phrase that I don't really need. So like right here, I kept some of the words and some of them I just put into the letters. And no matter what the theme of the magazine is, there's always going to be alphas. So even one that isn't something you'd super be interested in might be good to pick up if it's a very good price, just to get the letters. Also, you can see I'm just pulling out a few different things from ads and things. Sometimes those are really helpful as well. And then I'm going to just create my stack of words until I'm ready to put together my vision board. So at some point I realize I'm done flipping through magazines, and generally I just kind of get tired of it. I know that I'm done when I'm just skipping things that I otherwise would cut out, which is why I usually go through magazines twice, because I just feel like I'm done. So this is something that's super fun to do, to cut things out of magazines, especially while watching a show or watching YouTube videos. But then after a little while, I'm just ready to move on. So I'm going to pull over my journal and work on putting together my spread. I love that this year I have a 2-page spread, so I can kind of do 2 vision boards. And some months I think I will do it where it's more connected, but this month I kind of did 2 separate themes because I feel like the month of February is kind of disjointed for me. The first half of the month I'm going to spend in Southeast Asia, and the second half of the month I will be back in New York, where I live, in upstate New York, where it's going to be cold and snowy, and I'm going to be kind of just spending time in my house and at work and just like ordinary life stuff. So what I decided to do was split the page into 2 separate images. The one I put on the right-hand side is for my vacation. It's a tropical beach, which I think looks very similar to Vietnam, where I'm going to go to the beach. And then the left-hand side is some beautiful red or pinkish roses, which I think works really well for February because February is the month of love. So I put both of those, I trimmed them down and put them in the journal. And then I add some white washi tape to the seam just to prevent them from getting caught when you turn the page. So when you turn the page in journal and you have glued something really close to the seam, sometimes it catches and it will bend funny. And I don't want that to happen. So for whenever I do a vision board, I always put that white tape right along the seam. Next, I'm going to go through my alphas and I'm going to write the word February, and I want to write it twice, once on my vision board and once on my monthly calendar. I'm going to set the calendar up at the end of this video, but I am going to put the word February in there now because it's just easier to do both at once. So as I'm going through the alphas in my stash, I'm laying them out on my desk and trying to pick ones that I feel like go together with color and style and size. Like I don't want ones right next to each other that are too similar or too different. I like them to have a little bit of a color scheme. So I liked having that big pink F for the lower February, which is going to be the one that goes on my vision board because I'm going to put it on top of the floral. I pulled over some vellum from my stash and I'm going to trim it and then tear it along the edge of my ruler. And that way I'm going to get a torn edge, but it's going to be pretty straight. And I'm going to use that as a base for the alphas. You can totally just glue the February directly onto your image, but for this one, I wanted to have that vellum because I think it's going to make the letters pop a little bit more. I flipped over to my calendar and I'm going to adhere these down. I will flip back and finish this calendar, like I said at the end of the video, so I'll talk a little bit more about it at that time. Back to my vision board, I'm going to add the February directly on top of that vellum. And I just think it creates a nice little base for the letters. Once I do that, my goal is then to fill in the rest of the vision board with words and images that really speak to what I want February to encompass. So I'm just going to go ahead and read through the words that I selected. So I go with sunshine, comfort, time. It's time for a vacation, make space, inspiration of the month, Thailand, bliss, unforgettable, ordinary, comfort, destination, home, living, fresh, adventure, inspired, taken the view, notes, explore, where I belong, hello sun, artistic, pool, space, and timeless. So these words all kind of encompass the feel that I'm going for the month. Of course, it's a whole month. And so, like I said, half the month is my vacation and the other half is when I'm at home. So some of these words are more focused on the vacation side of things, like adventure and vacation, of course. Hello, sun. I'm going somewhere with sunshine because it's very cold and dark where I live. And, there's pool, explore for that vacation. And then I have some other words for when I get home, like comfort and make space, inspiration of the month, ordinary, comfort, home, and really just kind of embracing what I need to unwind and relax after vacation because I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I go on vacation, when I get home, I need a vacation from my vacation to get back into ordinary life. So I'm just going to go through the words that I have in my stash in addition to the ones that I have on my desk from flipping through magazines, and I'm going to adhere them down on my vision board. I also adhere that image of a lady sitting by the pool. I don't usually add additional images to my vision boards because I feel like there's not that much space and I don't want to cover too much of it, and I really love words, but having the 2-page spread gives me a little more space to play with images. So I'm super excited for that, and I'm happy that I added that one this month. Okay, so I'm setting up my monthly calendar, and this one's pretty quick and easy. I just use some stickers from Cocoa Daisy to add the days of the week, and then I'm using the stamp set that I picked up on Amazon to add the dates. I use these calendars really just to add a lot of images and doodles and stickers throughout the month, but I do want that basic calendar there so I know what day is which, and that way I just need to do a little bit of a setup. I don't mind that the stamps are a little bit messy because this is going to be kind of a messy decorative spread at the end, and so they work really well for me here. Then I pulled over my washi tape, and I'm going to add some washi tape to the bottom of this spread because I want to just decorate a little bit and have the spread, when it's completed, be a full decorative page. For January, I had added ones about snow, but for February, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I picked one that was a travel related one and one that was this little paint splatter that was just a lot of color and fun, which I think encompasses what I want for February. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.